Hello, everyone. Welcome back into Coffee, a Camera, and Country Earl. And on this particular episode here, we're going to be talking about a major thing not only in Clay County and Eastern Kentucky, but nationwide. It is diabetes. And with us today are members of the Clay County Diabetes Group. We've got Miss Marcia Garrison from the Cumberland Valley District Health Department, along with Laura Howard from the Extension Office, and also Tammy Pennington from the Cumberland Valley District Health Department as well. November is National Diabetes Awareness, right?
It is. So November is declared as National Diabetes Awareness Month, and November the 14th, which was this past Saturday, was National Diabetes Awareness Day.
We talk diabetes, and a lot of us here just say, well, you got that old sugar. That's kind of what has been transcended over time. When we talk about the actual diabetes, we just say sugar. There's different types of diabetes. Now, for our area, what's the number one type that we are all affected by?
So we primarily have two types of diabetes, as you mentioned. So type 1 is primarily consists of, like, the children in the schools that have diabetes. So like youth would have diabetes 1. The big one is type 2 diabetes. That's the one that is prevalent in this area.
Diabetes is certainly something very serious, and I don't know if a lot of folks kind of think about the sincerity of it. I've known people that have actually lost their eyesight from diabetes. They have lost toes, amputations to other limbs, if you will.
Yes.
It's something that we all need to pay attention to and certainly keep an eye out for. And the thing here is, amongst a lot of us, it's a hereditary thing. But there are steps we can take to kind of prolong or even offset that from affecting the next generation, all about it being hereditary.
Yes. Well, when I do diabetes programs in the school, when I go and do nutrition programs in the school and talk to the students, a lot of them will say to me, well, diabetes runs in my family. It's hereditary, and it could, but the thing is if you exercise and you watch what you eat the right kinds of foods nutritionally, instead of getting diabetes at 40, you may have 10 additional years of good health, and you may not show any symptoms till 50 if you exercise and you eat the right kinds of foods. And that can make a big impact on how you feel, your lifestyle, your medical history, and that type of thing.
If someone is watching right now and they've not been checked, what are the early symptoms of diabetes?
I have them right here. So warning signs of diabetes. Actually, these are the warning signs of prediabetes. So we want to go into prediabetes first. So
Okay.
if you already have diabetes, you've got it, you're going to have to deal with it. But there's a lot of people in this area that have prediabetes that don't know that. And that is the stage before you actually go into onset diabetes. So those symptoms would be increased thirst, frequent urination, excess hunger, fatigue, and blurred vision. So those are very common symptoms that you may have now, and that might be a sign that you're on your way to getting diabetes.
So when we talk about that, is that specifically type 1 or type 2?
That's type 2.
Type 2,
Yes.
Those are the early symptoms of type 2.
Yeah.
A type 1 diabetic would be a child, and we
Right.
used to call it juvenile diabetes.
Right.
Okay.
And we have a lot of kids in our school system now that the health department was essential many years ago, getting school nurses in the schools, and that's kind of gone through the process now. I think one of the other Grace to Health has had the school nurse program, but they do have nurses in the school to help those kids manage their diabetes, because they can have highs or lows during the school day. Different things happen, and in the past it was just up to school staff to deal with that, and that can be a very scary situation. So and I'll just say too, on a personal note, with my 2 pregnancies, I was a gestational diabetic, so that too if any ladies out there have experienced gestational diabetes, then, that can also lead to an adult onset situation, which I'm in. I take metformin, but, I manage my diabetes. I try to exercise. There's something, which we have a lot of information that we can give out, your A1C. If anybody is a diabetic or a pre-diabetic, those are some things, say, well, what was your A1C? And the A1C test, it'll check, it'll average your sugar over the last 3 months. So if you can, your doctor can see, people might go to the doctor and say, oh yeah, I'm taking care of everything. But when they check that A1C and it's just a simple blood test,
Right.
it will tell the story. People, I think anything 6 and under, is a good A1C, 6'1", 6'2", pre-diabetes, but, when you get up towards 7 and above, and I was really shocked. I worked with a lady once that, her A1C was like 12.5, and I was like, oh my gosh. But, and she wasn't aware that she
Right.
was a diabetic, but then that, that put her on the path then to treating and dealing with her diabetes.
Something interesting now as we go through COVID-19, of course, the public schools here has been on a virtual basis. And I know that some school nurses and whatnot also can be reached through the viral world, but you got to wonder if you're starting with the type 1, how that affects us, because I know school lunches are based upon the most nutrition, breakfast and lunch as well, that they can provide the children. And I do know that lunches are being sent home for some kids, and couple days a week buses running and families can pick up the meals at school. But you got to wonder, it's simple, and I guess I'm as guilty as anyone else. If I'm sitting and I'm doing something electronically on the Chromebook or the phone or whatever, your first intuition is a snack. I mean, it's wild. Even if you watch TV, no offense to TV here, but a lot of the commercialization deals with bright colors that trigger the brain to thinking, I'm hungry. If you watch a football game or basketball, whatever, you want a Dorito, you want a Pepsi. I mean, it all goes hand in hand, and I would imagine in today's world that's even worse on our children.
Yeah, COVID and the pandemic has presented a challenge to all of us as far as trying to be healthy, particularly at home. So, it's kind of hard to make sure that you eat healthy when you can't get out, and maybe you can't even get access to healthy food right now because of the pandemic. So, that is something that we're going to have to deal with, and we're going to have to work our way through, and hopefully maybe this pandemic will end soon and we can get our kids back into school where we can get them to eating healthier meals.
Oh, I would love to say we're going back to normal tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case.
No.
Hopefully next year sometime we all can do that. But you mentioned exercise. Walking is a good thing in here. We're very much blessed with places you can walk. I know Rollins Stinson Park is now open for what we call foot traffic. The park still has a couple of little things that's going to be done to it. Some playground equipment has to be reinstalled and whatnot, but you can use the park for walking. You can walk all the way from Rollins Stinson Park on Memorial Drive through Riverside Park, and
Through the trail.
the trail goes all the way out to Pioneer Village,
Yes.
and all the way back, and 1 or 2 laps there, and you've walked a great distance.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I
Is
did
it
it
2
before.
miles? I think if you walk all the way to the end of the river trail up to the park and back to the
Yeah, it's-
Pioneer
it's
Village,
pretty much 2 miles.
It's 2 miles.
So that's a good walk.
And it's a nice walk.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a nice walk.
It is beautiful,
Yeah.
and you need to go by and check the park out. I'll plug it. Starting now, as we get into the Thanksgiving and the Christmas season, it's going to be a big glow of Joyland for Christmas with all the decorations and stuff. And there's actually going to be a lot of things happening, and this is going to be a future episode of this show, to get people out more, social distance, walk, check out the decorations and stuff, and that's a good thing. I mean, it keeps us active and exercise.
Well, Earl, it's funny that you mentioned that. The Diabetes Coalition has just finished 3 walking challenges that we started in May, and we just ended one at the end of October. And during that entire time, we had about 175 people that
Wow.
participated in the walking challenges. And that one of our objectives was to get people out, to have them exercise, be socially distanced while they were healthy at home. And we, the Diabetes Coalition, we were just really pleased with the response that we got. And there's actually another walking challenge that is planned to start in March.
Okay. So we do 3 a year. Is that kind of the common goal, or just?
Well, that
whatever?
just happened this
Okay.
year because we were trying to get people out.
Okay.
You know, due to COVID and everything and having to stay home, we wanted people to be able to get outside and exercise while being healthy at home.
Okay.
And so those walking challenges were a way that we could do that. And we encouraged our diabetes support group to participate in those challenges because walking is something that a diabetic can do.
So
It's an easy exercise that you don't have to have a lot of special equipment to
Right.
do. And we have a wonderful place to do it at the park, at the Riverside Walk. You know.
So if anyone is watching now, I know that the Extension Office will have information on the Facebook page. The Health Department will as well if
Always.
folks want to take part in the upcoming walk and be a part of that. Meal prepping for a diabetic. It's not as awkward as one may think. You can have delicious foods. You can have delicious food substitutes. Maybe 30 years ago, some of the old timers would say, if it tastes good, spit it out. You know, I've heard that all my life. Now it's not that way. I mean, modern nutrition, flavoring has come just leaps and bounds from where it was.
You can use a lot of herbs and spices for your flavorings. You don't have to have a lot of sugar, though some of your foods will have natural sugars that occur in them that will cause the glucose to go up in them. But you can eat nutritionally and have good tasting food and be a diabetic. And that's something that Tammy and I talk about when we do the diabetes support group. Tammy does the educational information for the diabetes support group, and I usually do a food demonstration for the diabetes support group so that they have a sample of a nutritious, good tasting food, you know, that's a joy to eat. Because they say we eat with our eyes, and so if it looks attractive, then we're more likely to taste it, and if it smells good, we're, so. But that's what we tried to do with the diabetes support group. And let's see, that group, we are actually doing those virtually now.
Okay.
And
Quarterly basis.
they are at 12 o'clock, and I think the next one is December 15th.
Yes. So we do those on a quarterly basis.
Yes.
The thing about our Diabetes Coalition, we got the funding last year, and I had a flyer here. One of the first things we did was we did a diabetes walk, a diabetes awareness walk last year in November. So, and we also have Cindy Maggard from the hospital is part of our coalition, and also Angela Hubbard from Redbird. So, we're trying to expand and reach, in different ways, but what's really hurt us, Laura and I were trained in March of this past March in gentle yoga. So, we were going to be trying to have some classes for folks that, it's just yoga in a chair.
Right.
And, we've not been able to do any group meetings since, this COVID shutdown. So a lot of the things are virtual, which Laura and Tammy both, the partnership between the health department, the Diabetes Coalition, and the Extension Office is great because Laura is always on their Facebook page or the Extension Office page doing cooking demonstrations. And when, you could meet in person, I always took part in the things that Laura did at the Extension Office. She would demonstrate a recipe A lot of it is things that you can raise and, that are common to Kentucky, but then you also got to taste that. And sometimes with folks, I mean, I'm a diabetic myself. I hate to claim it, but it's just getting people to taste things, and, once you taste it, you might like it. And in that situation, you don't have to spend a lot of money making a big meal and think, oh, well, I'm not going to waste all that money preparing that, when you can go, and at tasting type things and try it and, see if you like it. But, everything being shut down has really impacted our ability as the Diabetes Coalition to have group meetings or, to go out into the public and do those type things. But, hopefully one of these days that we'll be able to do that again. But now these ladies here do a really fine job with those virtual trainings, and if you all want to be sure to tell people how they can sign up for that or be a part of that, that'd be great.
Yes, for anybody that wants to participate in the diabetes support group, you can just call the Clay County Health Department and we can sign you up. Like I said, it meets on a quarterly basis, so we do it every 3 months.
Right.
And Laura and I work together. We usually do it from the extension office, and I will present the educational component, and then she follows up with always a delicious recipe, always.
So just simply call the health department here
It is.
locally
598-2425.
and just want to sign up and get more information.
And the
Also
extension.
contact.
And it's free. There's
Yes,
no,
it's
there's no
free.
charge. It is free. So
So we just want to provide support to diabetics out there, because once you have diabetes, you can't get rid of it. You can always do things to send it into remission, if you will, but you'll always have diabetes. Once you
Right.
are diagnosed as a diabetic, you're always there. So for the pre-diabetic people, we want to prevent them from ever crossing over into being full-blown diabetics. So that's why we try to reach out to them. And we do have a program that's specifically geared toward them, and it's called DPP. And it's a diabetes prevention program. And it's a course where you can come in. It's a lifestyle program that you get to attend classes and change your lifestyle and learn habits that will aid you in preventing you from going into onset diabetes.
So basically, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Prevention is the key.
Yeah, prevention's always the key.
And we have a lot of printed materials for anybody, at the health department or with the extension office as well. Here's some things, low blood sugar, So anyway, there's a lot of information available to anyone who thinks, or that's a diabetic, or for family members as well, because, it involves your whole family. One person you might have to change your whole way of cooking for everybody. So,
Right.
yeah.
And what you said about people thinking that the diabetes is in their family, I think a lot of people are resigned to think, I'm destined to get it,
Yeah.
so I might as well eat what I want to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to get it. You can change it now. Change your lifestyle now. You can get the exercise. You can lose the weight. You can adopt healthy habits, and you never have to deal with diabetes.
That's great to know.
Yes.
A lot of people out there probably watching now will hopefully heed the advice and start that very thing. Because I think if you polled most people in particular Eastern Kentucky, I'd say 90% of us would just say, oh, it's hereditary. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that is good that we do have the opportunity. If you're watching now and you get up, exercise, watch what you eat, change your eating habits, which, I'm horrible for that. I was the first to tell you, but that's the thing. Plenty of water, plenty of exercise, and watch what you eat.
And if somebody suspects, like the things that Tammy mentioned, there are signs, going to the doctor, people are afraid sometimes, but getting your blood sugar checked, it's just a simple finger stick. And then you can go, you'll go from there. But when we can meet in person, there's a lot of free health fairs that go on in our county, and you can get your blood sugar checked, your cholesterol checked, and different things like that for free. If there's a health fair. But if you do suspect, if you're having any of the symptoms that Tammy mentioned, please go, because the sooner you go, the less likely you're going to be to damage any body, your organs, your eyes.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, to get your blood sugar checked, it's really just a simple finger stick. So, very non-invasive, I guess.
Anything in closing you all would like to add?
I just would like to stress that diabetes is called the silent killer for a reason. Once you have it, you know, you don't realize, you just think, oh, well, I can't eat sweets. But what diabetes does is it attacks your major organs. Like we said, people lose limbs, they lose their eyesight, they lose their lives because of this disease. And like I stressed before, once you get it, you don't ever get cured from diabetes. So we would like to prevent people from getting it altogether.
All right. Well, members of the Clay County Diabetes Awareness Coalition here with us on the program today. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the CATS TV or Southeast Kentucky Network on Facebook and YouTube. And special thanks to Mitch Hawkins, Eddie Smith. I'm Earl Owens, and we'll see you next time.